I'm your host, BKP, and we're back. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show, and I am here this morning with Attorney Russell Stookey. Mr. Stookey, glad to have you this morning.
Thank you so much.
Just to bring up briefly, many of you know the story that Mr. Stookey and his client were arrested June, what day was it, 24th, or what day was it?
I can't recall.
But it's been about 2 weeks ago now?
On a Friday afternoon.
Okay. On a Friday afternoon, were arrested and transported to the Pickens County Jail, where they were bonded out on a $10,000 bond the next day. Mr. Stookey, when I got a message on Facebook from somebody that I know, and I got a lot of respect for it, and they said, hey, why don't you call Russell up, and if you mind if I call you Russell,
sure.
Up and say, hey, you come on and tell your side of the story. And I have always said at fetchyournews.com, anybody that wanted to come on, I was going to keep that door open. I'm a firm believer in freedom of speech and the First Amendment and freedom of the press. And you and I spoke, and you're here today. So tell us, what do you think led to your arrest? What are the charges? And give us a brief on your side of the story.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Since the orders have not been signed, the case is still pending. So under the ethics of my profession, I'm limited as to what I can say about the case. In fact, I can't say anything about the current case until the judge has signed it. I don't know what the holdup is, but that's typical Fannin County justice for you. So when the order is signed, I'll be glad to give you our side. I can tell you what happened. We've been told for a week.
Just on the holdup, what I've been told, not to be rude, and I will not go through this interruption,
sure.
But just on the holdup, what I've been told was a visit, it has to be done. The Secretary of State says that this motion to dismiss has to be done in public court. An open court can't just be sent to a judge to be signed. That's what I've been told. And two, they have to have a visiting court come. So I guess they have to put that on the calendar. So that's what I've heard. I don't know.
To my knowledge, my lawyers have not received that information. I understand Allison Sosby, the DA, has taken a vacation week. Judge Weinberg or Weinstein is the visiting judge that's supposed to sign off on it. But that I know, there has been no hearing scheduled for this, for the situation.
I agree. I've not heard of a hearing ISO.
But while it's still pending, I'm precluded from having any discussions about the internal workings of the thing. But I can tell you what led up to it.
Go ahead.
Mark Thomason, who is the editor of and owner of the Fannin Focus, was trying to get from Rhonda Stubblefield the transcript of the hearing that was in front of Judge Bradley. Allegedly, the N word, the slang word, had been used repeatedly in the hearing by several people, and he wanted to get the transcript. The transcript got lost, according to the clerk, and so he said, "Well, I need a backup on this." Well, each court reporter has audio on their machines, so he said, "Well, how about giving me the audio?" And of course that couldn't be had because but Miss Stubblefield had lawyered up, and for some big reason she would play the tape for anybody else in the courthouse, and did, but she would let Mark hear it. So Mark filed, I think he filed an Open Records Act, and they were going back and forth on that. And then later I got into the case when Mary Beth Priest, who was Miss Stubblefield's attorney from Clark & Clark, started to litigate this thing and take him in before the judge. The judge in this case was Judge Martha Christian, and she's a visiting judge and did a marvelous job. I can't say enough good things about Judge Christian. She gave us a level playing field, and that's the best you can get from any judge. But the longest short of it was they weren't going to allow this to come out and let Mark have the audio. Well, there were other sources of the audio. Each courthouse has video and audio in the courtroom. And so we asked for the audio and video for that particular day. Well, it was an amazing thing what happens at Fannin County Courthouse. the sheriff maintains these video and audio logs. The day before we had the hearing with Judge Bradley and the N-word was thrown around, the audio and video in the courtroom was working beautifully. The day after, it was working beautifully, but unfortunately, alas, that day it was missing and destroyed, and you could see the pattern starting. We've lost a transcript. We've lost the audio and video. They are fighting us on hearing what was recorded on the machine from the court reporter. It's just an audio track. And so that's what the litigation was about. And that's when I got into the case. A lot of this had already been done before I got into it. And so we had all these needless motions which were purely for delay. As I came to understand, the case wasn't about the audio or the video or defamation. The case was to run up the bill and put Mark Thomason into bankruptcy and shut his paper down.
Wait, the case wasn't about defamation.
No, Stubblefield filed, I think it was $1.6 million suit against him for defamation. They had nothing. I looked at their evidence. They never produced a witness. They never produced anything that was written that Mark said anything defamatory about the woman. He quoted the 6 witnesses that came up and said, I've read this transcript. Once we got the transcript, they read the transcript and they said, that's not what I heard in the courtroom. And I said, where was it different? And they said, here. And all 6 of them, independent of one another, outside the hearing of each of them, picked out the very spots where they said the transcript had been altered. And I said, who was speaking? They named the names. So I took their depositions. Judge Christian allowed me to have 20 days to flesh that out. So I had 6 people who were saying, the transcript's been altered. Well, we didn't have the audio. Finally, and I had told Mary Beth Priest from day one, we're not asking for money. We didn't ever ask for money, ever. It didn't cost the taxpayers a dime. We were saying to them, just let us hear the audio and we'll go home. So finally, I said that to the judge, and she said, we'll have it in chambers. She took me into chambers, we played the tape, I was satisfied with it, but I heard something on the tape, and it said, or it's actually not a tape, it's a digital recording.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm old, everything was real.
Everything's,
real.
I'm okay with that, trust me.
So I said, could we get a copy of that, have it analyzed? We wanted a copy of it to be analyzed because it sounded like where the words that the witnesses said the words had been bleeped out, you could hear a click in there. And I thought, well, I'm an audio engineer. One of the things in life is I've been in broadcast, but I didn't have the sophisticated equipment to do this. Well, at that time, Mark and I were both reporting to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They had an investigation going on themselves. I don't know what it was, but every once in a while, the FBI agent would ask us to get things and give it to him. We reported dutifully to him. He said, well, here's what you're getting. We had the perfect vehicle to gather things, and the things we were gathering meshed with our case, so it was perfectly logical. Once we get it, we gave them the witnesses and so forth. People kept tampering with our witnesses and threatening our witnesses and taking them down to the sheriff's office and interviewing them and saying, you better change your story, it's going to go hard on you, and arresting them. And every one of those witnesses had a tough day with the sheriff's department. And I'm ashamed to tell you that, but that's what happened. I stood up in court, went on the record, and said, Judge Christian, I'm not going to stand for this. The FBI got their ears up too, because you don't play with witnesses. But that's the way things are done in Fannin County. I don't know if you know about Fannin County. I hope you've been around here long enough to understand. It is corrupt. There are people who do anything and they get away with it. And their arrogance is what got them in trouble here. Now, we're still talking about the Stubblefield case. My case with Mark going to jail came after that, but this is why we got in trouble. The witnesses were being tampered with and harassed and threatened. We were reporting to the FBI. I never knew what their file was. I don't know the focus of their investigation, when they asked for something, if we had it, we'd give it to them. So I think you made mention about somebody wanting for me to release the file or something. If you know anything about the FBI, they don't give out the file. They don't even know what they're working on. Even agent to agent, they don't know what they're working on. We certainly never had any materials. We didn't have an idea of what their investigation was about. So we didn't have anything to give out. The case with Stubblefield, finally, I went back to Mark after I listened to the tape, and I said, here's what it sounds like. It sounds like it may have been altered, but unless we have it analyzed, we won't know for sure. But for right now, I can assure you that the tape looks like it's accurate. At that point in time, we were going to dismiss. Here again, we had not sued for money. All we wanted was to hear the audio. And then we found out that Miss Stubblefield's down there in the courtroom one day when the court's out, and she's playing the damn thing for anybody who wants to hear it. But she won't play it for Mark. If she'd have stepped up and let him hear this thing early on, there would have been nothing. It would have been over like that. Well, the judge made a ruling on this, and she said, I'm going to rule that the transcript is accurate like that. You haven't produced enough evidence to show that it has been tampered with. We only had 6 witnesses. Actually, we had about 16 witnesses, but they were all terrified. They're absolutely terrified to come into court. Why? Because they know what goes on with the courthouse gang. That's what I call these people, the courthouse gang. So the case was over, and the judge entered an order, and we thought the case was over. A couple of weeks later, in comes a letter from Clark & Clark, the firm that Miss Mary Beth Priest, who was a lawyer at that time, she's been subsequently promoted to Superior Court judge. And they're asking for attorney's fees from either Mark or from myself. And I thought, they haven't got a case, they don't have anything. So we had to go back into court in front of Judge Christian again, and the judge said, she listened to our both sides of the case, and I brought up, I said, Judge, the bill has been paid. The bill has been paid. And that's when Pandora's box opened up. We had evidence that the bill had been paid, and it had been paid with taxpayers' money at the behest of Judge Brenda Weaver. And what we had done was we had filed subpoenas to get the records from the courtrooms. Each courtroom has an administrative fund or operating fund to run on, and we needed to find that check. We were looking for one check. That's all we needed. We weren't looking for Weaver's personal records. We weren't trying to get into the pocket of the county. We weren't trying to do fraud. We wanted that one check. And the reason for that was some idiot thought it was a good idea to file a motion for attorney's fees, and I handed them their heads. That was the stupidest thing tactically I've ever seen. The case was over and done with. They opened it up again, and I nailed them. I nailed them. Judge Christian I believe, was just stunned. But she ruled against Mr. Clark, who argued the motion, and so we were out of there. Well, we started hearing that George Weaver was going around town, and he was offering $1,000 bets to anybody who would take it, that we were going to be jailed. Now, we had been warned by both the FBI and local police authorities that our lives were in danger. I thought, surely, I know they're crazy, but I don't think they're that stupid. But they all wanted to put a team of agents on both Mark and myself. I told them, no, you just get in the way, because I carry a gun and I'm pretty damn good with it. I don't want to shoot an FBI agent in the fray, but I just didn't think they were going to do anything about it. But we had been warned our lives were at risk. So then that's when the Friday came, and we kept hearing, you're going to jail, you're going to jail. I thought, for what? We've done nothing. We caught them using taxpayers' money to pay off Stubblefield's bill with Clark & Clark, and we're going to jail? Somebody ought to be putting them in the slammer. But by golly, Friday afternoon, about 5:30, comes a knock at my door. I live in Hiawassee, and they took me into custody and took me down to Towns County. Pickens County came over. I've never been to Pickens County in my life. Pickens County comes over, and we found out that a special grand jury had been convened by Allison Sosby, and they true bill it. You know, you can indict a hamburger if you say ugly things about it.
I've not interrupted you, but I want to clear something
Certainly.
up. When you say special grand jury, I want to make sure our viewers know that that was not convened just for this.
Yes, it was.
No, sir. Mr. Miller was a very big case, like 50-some indictments. And
My understanding of the
it
information.
came out the same day. So I apologize. I'm
No,
not trying
that's
to
all
interrupt,
right.
but I got the indictments on the same day.
Well, let me tell you this.
Okay,
The only thing I knew was that we were the only two that were heard that day. I was unaware of what you're saying.
No, on the same day the judge opened the indictments with yours was Mr. I think it's Mark Miller, and he's an attorney in Pickens that.
I know Mark.
Yeah, 50-some counts. So your two indictments were not the only two read that day.
Okay.
So I'm not
No, that's
interrupting you,
fine.
but I'm just saying.
I was
just
unaware
want
of
to be
that.
clear
I
on a
was
special
unaware.
grand jury was not convened
Well,
just for these
The
two.
grand jury can bring back one of two findings.
Absolutely.
A no bill or a true bill.
Absolutely,
A
sir.
true bill says they found probable cause to issue a warrant. There's a crime been committed. So they issued a true bill for Mark on 3 felonies and on me for 2 felonies. And a bench warrant for our arrest was issued and signed by the judge and Allison Sosby, and they came and got us. We wound up in Pickens County, Georgia, in the jail, and the next morning, Saturday morning, we weren't supposed to get out of there till late Sunday. And the sheriff is a smart guy. He realized, since it was from Fannin County, something was rotten, and he wanted us out of his county. In fact, one of the deputies said, "My sheriff wants you the hell out of Pickens County and out of his jail."
So you're making a claim that Donnie Craig, the sheriff of Pickens County, thought because it was from Fannin County, it didn't add up?
I don't know. I can tell you this.
Okay.
He had the magistrate with him. The magistrate had gone for the weekend. He wasn't
Yes,
going to come
okay.
back until Sunday afternoon late. I figured we were going to be there till Monday. Monday at least, all right? Saturday morning early, I can't remember what time it was. It was early, though. We went before the magistrate, and the magistrate reduced our bond and said, you're free to go once you make bond. And he says, anything else I can do for you? He's a very nice young man. And I said, yeah,
Mr. Wigington.
would you mind
Magistrate.
telling me what we're charged with? And he was stunned. And he said, you don't know what you were charged with? I said, no. So he read the charges, the particulars. He gave me the code section, and I'm familiar with the code sections. And what told me was somebody had been inarticulate in drafting the complaint, because these code sections didn't have a criminal statute attached to them. There were no crimes, it was civil. So we made bond, and I think we got out of there, I don't know, 1 o'clock, something like that, and drove back to Blue Ridge, where Mark actually took me all the way to Hiawassee, where I got my vehicle, and I went home. I was home by 4 o'clock, and my dogs were happy to see me, the wild bunch, as I call them. But we got in trouble because we were asking for that one check. And the funny thing about it was the Pickens County, the other 2 banks that were involved sent what they had over, which was nothing. Stern Bank sent us a disc with some files on it. I don't know what the files are. You could see them on the disc, but when you clicked on them, it asks for a password. It was password protected. My paralegal called the bank and asked for the password, and they said, well, you need to talk to our lawyer. His name is Avery Jackson, nice young guy. So when I got back to the office, I called Mr. Jackson, and he said, well, I may have to file a motion to quash, which is the proper remedy. If you object to a subpoena or an open records, you file a motion to quash. You don't put people in handcuffs and put them in jail. But you see, I can read the law, and apparently some people can't. So we got with Avery, and I said, we had our hearing before Judge Christian on attorney's fees on the 13th. I'm talking to Avery Jackson like on the 15th or 16th. The hearing's already over with, and I said, counsel, I hate to put you in any trouble. I don't even need that stuff. We don't have anything but a desk that we can't open, and I don't even need that. And he said, well, I can't give you the password without Brenda Weaver's permission. And I said, well, call her up and see if she'll release it, or I don't care. I said, I had let the judge know that we were putting in a subpoena. I never heard from her. Our subpoenas were served on the 1st of June, and I called her either the 3rd, I think it was the 3rd of June, that I called her office. My secretary dialed the phone up. She said they got the judge's office on the phone. I picked it up. It was a secretary. I told her who I was, what the case was about, and that we had served Stearns Bank, but we had received a disk that was encrypted or password protected. I just wanted to let her know that. I don't know if Mr. Jackson ever called her to get permission. I can't speak to that or not. But we had a disk we couldn't open that we didn't need. The case that we needed it for had already passed on the 13th. Here it is the 15th or 16th. We didn't need the stuff. He didn't even file a motion to quash because I told him I wouldn't oppose it. So the next thing you know, we keep hearing that George is taking bets on us and we're going to get us in jail, and he was right. We got put in jail. But you know, I wonder what George is betting on now, because all hell is broken loose on this thing. And the funny thing is, I haven't filed a complaint with anyone. I could file a complaint with Allison Sosby, with the Attorney General. I have not. I could file a complaint against Brenda Weaver with the JQC, the Judicial Qualifications Committee, and as of today, I have not. I could file bar complaints with the state bar on these people. I have not. They put me in jail and deprived me of my freedom for nothing because I did my job. And I can unequivocally state to you, Mark Thomason and Russell Stookey did not break the law, but we went to jail. And that shows you how delicate your freedom is in this country. They can go to a grand jury and snatch your freedom away like that. Any questions about that?
How about this? How about we take a break?
Sure.
And we come back and delve into break down a couple of the things that you said. Good with that?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Stookey. Our guest this morning, Russell Stookey, Attorney Russell Stookey, which again found himself in jail in June, is here today with us to discuss the Rhonda Stubblefield, the N-word case, a little bit of everything. So we've heard his explanation of the story, and when we come back, we're going to ask a couple questions on his comments. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Lonnie, take us to break.
Truck Month is back at your new Days Chevrolet in Jasper with savings up to $8,000 off MSRP. Right now, get a roomy new Chevy Equinox for just $23,200, or get Days max discount on a new Silverado Crew Cab, just $31,900, plus instant easy credit with Days Fast Track Credit Center. But these Truck Month savings won't last long. Get to Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where Chevy cars and trucks cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Introducing Pizza Hut's first $5 flavor menu. Just $5 each when you order 2 or more. Say yes to a medium one-topping pizza. Yes to Wing Street Wings. Yes to new stuffed garlic knots. And much more. It's easy to say yes to our first ever $5 flavor menu. Only at Pizza Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Switch and save at Schottenkirk Ford. Find quality pre-owned trucks under $20,000 and not just Fords. We have all the best makes and models. Shop the best selection of certified pre-owned Fords in the area. Switch today and shop our network of over 500 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll even deliver it to you. Plus, every vehicle sold comes with Schottenkirk Customer Care, which offers you extra protection for no extra charge. Make the switch to Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
Only Pizza Hut delivers 2 medium pizzas any way you want for just $6.99 each. Get any 2 freshly made pizzas with high quality, fresh ingredients and sauce made with California vine ripened tomatoes. Now get your favorite specialty recipes like meat lovers, backyard barbecue chicken, or 5-pepper pepperoni. So you never have to compromise with any quality toppings, any crust, any specialty. Anything you want on any 2 medium pizzas, just $6.99 each. Only at Pizza Hut.
El Rey in Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We have about 20 minutes. Don't forget, we have our Inspirational Moments by Colonel Oscar Poole. That's our Inspirational Moments by Colonel Oscar Poole. That will be this morning, every Tuesday and Thursday. And the Scott Farrell Show is coming up from 10 to 12 weekdays right after this. I'm joined by Russell Stookey. He's the attorney that found himself in jail. He's also the attorney for Mark Stubblefield's, the civil side of his litigation. Let's go. We only have 20 minutes,
Sure.
Mr. Stookey. And when we talked yesterday about the interview today, I told you very clearly that I wanted to make sure you got your opportunity on FetcherNews.com. And I thought what I'd do is listen to this, and you said I could ask questions. So I think what I want to do is take a couple quick questions on some of the comments you made.
Certainly.
Let's start with the transcript and the audio. You said this, but I want you to reiterate this to me. So you're saying that your understanding is Rhonda Stubblefield was the court reporter was allowing about anybody to hear this. I mean, this was played multiple times.
That came out of one of the depositions.
Okay.
In fact, it was Dane Kirby's deposition when he let it slip that, well, when we were down here, we were all playing that thing, and I said, wait a second, I've got a vision of a whole bunch of guys just sitting around the water cooler playing this thing over and over and over again, and damned if I wasn't right.
Okay, I have the N-word transcript. I have that. I've read it several times. That the judge. Now, let me ask you a question. You methodically painted your client's picture for me today and everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, you did that. Why did the judge not see that? Why? I'm going to tell you the things that you said are so concerning to me. Why did it end with Judge Christian? Because I was in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was there. I was there every time you were in the courtroom, except this last time when Clark & Clark petitioned for the attorney fees. I did not attend that one. But I was in the courtroom, just so you'll know, I was in the courtroom every time you were on this. And I was also in the courtroom the day Robert Vivian pled guilty to his charges.
I believe it was his hearing.
Right.
in
It
which
was
that-
his
yeah.
bond revocation hearing that the N-word came up.
Yes, sir.
So I made sure I made that hearing. I made sure I made all yours, so I would be in the loop and really understand it. So I heard your petition that day to the judge. I heard about the depositions, all the above. Why did Judge Christian, I hate to call it lose, but your client lost that case. Your client brought the case, correct? You brought the case concerning the audio against Stubblefield.
No, what our case was about was we wanted to
But you brought it.
We wanted to get, well, he did through an Open Records
Right.
Act. They
No,
turned it
he
into
did an open records act, but as far as to go into court, you guys brought a lawsuit because I have a copy.
we never sued it for anything except the audio.
Right, but you brought a case into court.
We had to.
I understand that.
Because they wouldn't recognize and what we came to understand from Judge Christian's very thorough legal research was the Open Records Act was not the proper vehicle by which to get the transcript or the audio. It was under, I think it was Rule 12 of the Superior Court rules. So once
Is it Rule 21?
Might be 21. I can't
Rule
recall.
21.
So we asked to hear the tape. That's all we wanted. From day one, that's all we wanted. We never asked for money. We never asked for punitive damages. All we wanted was the tape. That's all we wanted. And it was the biggest mystery on earth. The tape we couldn't get a hold of. We couldn't hear it. But they're playing it for every damn body else in the courthouse.
But you brought this, the open records. For one, I keep a red book. It's Sam Olin's red book. And in fact, I'm not disrespecting anything, but I think we throw around the word open records. I have several that are being denied today, so I understand.
Oh, yeah.
I have sent the Attorney General several on municipalities that will not respond to open records. So I, for one, understand fighting a battle with open records. I have fought battles with county attorneys for open records, but we're throwing around the word open records request, but actually the request for the audio and Superior Court falls under a whole different situation with the state. So I mean, that should be clear.
Well, that got cleared by Judge Christian.
But let me ask this: Rhonda Stubblefield's attorney's fees were paid out of an operating account. This is true.
Which is county money.
Okay, but the fee is for a case that your client brought. What was your client looking for? I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm confused. What is your client looking for?
All he ever wanted was to compare the audio of the hearing with the hard copy. That's all we ever asked for. In fact, I offered that day one to Mary Beth Priest. She wouldn't do it.
To find what?
To see if what we were hearing from all of these witnesses. I had witnesses calling me. I'm in Hiawassee, Georgia. I've been practicing 31 years. I have never had witnesses call up and say, I want to come testify. I know this thing has been tampered with. I was in the courtroom that day, and all of the witnesses were a wide array of people. There was a police officer, Mike Early. There was Mr. and Mrs. Leet. They were in on drug charges. There were several people in there, just of different professions and different casts of life, and they all stopped reading the transcript at the very same place and said, this is where it's wrong, the printed word. And I said, we need to have the audio. And that was where the rub was. They weren't going to give us the audio. The sheriff lost or damaged the one in the courtroom. It was just becoming farcical. But finally, the judge played it for me in chambers, just the lawyers and the judge. I went back and reported to Mark, and I said, we got what we wanted. That was my job. That was all I was hired to do, was to listen to that audio. Once we heard it, I reported to him. He said, dismiss the lawsuit.
Okay. You said in the courtroom, and I want to quote you so you can clear me up if I may get this wrong, because I'm doing it out of memory. You said something into the courtroom that the JQC had heard the audio, and they were so concerned, and this is not a quote, because you can bring it back, but they were so concerned that they sent a copy to GBI.
That's correct.
Where's GBI's results on that?
I don't know.
Have you asked for them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you, because I heard that day. You
Yeah,
said the judge,
and that's a true-
and I did hear that.
And that's a true statement. We had the JQC.
And that was Mike Lang, right?
I don't know. Mark dealt with
Mr.
that.
Lang.
That was already done before I got
Right.
in the case. But I do know this: the man who was running the JQC,
Mr. Lang.
turned over the tape to the GBI and lost his job the next day.
I do know he lost his job. I do know he lost his job. I'm not going to draw a conclusion on what for because I don't have no insight on that. I don't have an insight. But so you've been told that it was turned to GBI.
Yes.
So if I called GBI, if I called, is it Kimberly Walker over at GBI?
I have no idea.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I should be able to start saying, hey, where is your report on this?
And what's your analysis?
Right.
We wanted an analysis. of
Okay,
it.
okay, I want to look at that. I have a question. I want to make sure I get everything in. You can't talk about the case, I understand, but in all of this, I've yet to understand. I have done open records requests, and I've had people call me back and say, what do you want to see? And I say to them, it doesn't matter what I want to see. It's irrelevant. I've had people say, what do you want to see? I send an open records request. I'll have somebody call and say, hey, you sent an open records request. What are you wanting to see? I didn't tell you what I wanted to see. I just want the information.
Yeah.
So I respect I respect if you just want the information.
Sure.
But my interest here is what was so big, and I don't want to belabor this, what was your client really looking for in that transcript to be altered? What was he really looking for other than the judge saying the N-word, which is in the transcript, and Mr. Martin, I think the assistant district attorney? I mean, what was he truly looking for?
We had all these witnesses who had volunteered to come forward, and they were the ones that were saying, I've read the written word, and it's wrong. It's not the same thing that I heard in court. Well, everybody's ears went up. Why would the transcript be altered? I couldn't understand the big deal myself. There was no question the N-word was thrown around by everybody in there.
Not everybody according to the transcript. According to the transcript, not everybody.
Some of the
not
people
throw it around. And I do want to say, I always like to let somebody know, I know the judge's story because you asked me earlier if I knew anything about Fannin County. My mother-in-law and family, they go back about 4 generations there. And so I know the N. Bob story as well as anybody, okay? And I know the N. Ray story, and I'm looking in the eye right now. Ray lied on camera. Ray introduced himself.
Ray Green?
Yeah, he introduced himself to me as N. Ray. So I don't care. It just I have to tell you kindly.
I've only met him
I understand
once.
that, and that's not you. I know you were hired to do something.
To get
right.
a
I understand
comparison.
that. I understand. You weren't hired to decide whether Ray was telling the truth or not.
I didn't care.
You were hired to get a transfer. Let's move on to things that maybe you can't talk about, but all of the national media has written all these articles that your client was jailed for an open records request. Now, I have emails that say, hey, Mr. Tomlinson, I've prepared your request, which I'm used to this, redacting this costs this,
Sure, yeah.
and you can pick it up or let me know when you want to finalize this. I have not seen where he was denied an open records request. Okay, I'm confused about that because I pulled that. I pulled those things and I'm not understanding the headlines. Now, I understand media likes headlines to get somebody to read the news.
Yeah.
Do you feel your client was denied an open records request?
Let me tell you the
Get me to understand
division
that.
of labor on this thing. I was doing the courtroom work, and of course I'm 75 miles away in Hiawassee. I'm burning the roads up coming back over here for all these crappy little motions they're filing. But you have to understand, the logic was, let's burn his money up, and so he'll go bankrupt when we shut the paper down. So we're running up and down the road doing nothing, really nothing. Mark started sending out these Open Records Act, and journalists, as you have admitted, file thousands of these things every day in Georgia. You don't go to jail for filing an Open Records Act. They file a motion to quash. So he's filed for, I think it was 3 banks. I don't know all the banks because he did that. I didn't even see the Open Records Act until all this started up. But when Mark filed those things, 2 of them responded, and I don't know which, Mark can tell you, but the one that didn't respond was Stern Bank, and that's when I talked to Mr. Avery Jackson. But this was after I'd had the hearing. We won the hearing, and I said, Mr. Jackson, I don't even need this stuff.
But I'm talking about the open records requests he did. I haven't seen open records requests to the banks. I may not have seen those. Obviously, I don't have those. But I've seen the open records requests he made to counties.
Yeah, those are the ones.
Well, you know, and Faye Harvey sends him an email back saying, you know, I've pulled this, this, and this. I have 3 hours, which is all within the legal, and it will cost this to redact. And the bank wants $28, so for $52, which I've gone to Blue Ridge, for $52, I'm ready.
Sure.
So that is one thing that in that denied open records request. Let me ask you about the subpoena. The subpoena that you did you notify Brenda Weaver that you were getting the subpoena?
Yes.
Okay. So
I notified her it had been served.
Right. So the bank, you're supposed to notify, I don't know the legality, but if you do a request for checks, you're supposed to notify the party that you're requesting.
Well, somebody is. Read the statute. Someone, it said notice should be given. It doesn't say who's supposed to give it. The bank.
So you're not aware if she was given that notice that?
I called and told her secretary, here's my name, here's the case number. We've served a subpoena on Stearns Bank, because that's the one I was talking with.
When you did a subpoena on Stearns Bank, because if you do an open records request for checks, okay, and you do an open records request for checks through the county, they're going to redact they're going to redact everything.
Absolutely.
Okay. May I ask you, because I seen your client posted the subpoena online and then later took it down. And anybody that had any knowledge of what to do could have used those bank account numbers. Where did you get the bank account numbers to do the subpoena?
They were from checks that had been used to pay other bills, and we were looking. We didn't know what the account numbers were, so we attached, as I understand, Mark attached these checks from other business that the county had conducted on that account, and
so I mean, because I have the subpoena, because when he put it up, I have the subpoena and the number and the bank accounts here, and when he put it up, so I mean, this is a subpoena that was posted online, and this is the one, correct?
That's the first time I've seen it.
All right, well, this is the subpoena, and it was online, and I was able to take a picture. Your client put this online and said, this is what I got arrested for. Now, one of the concerns is anybody could take this information. I have pictured this. I was questioning if you got checks through the banking system that had redacted, how did the account numbers get on that subpoena?
I believe he got those checks from either the county attorney or I think it might have been Mrs. Kirby, who was having some kind of an issue with Judge Weaver about whether or not to pay this or not.
Okay, so all right. So you already had some checks from 2015, correct?
I don't know. I never saw the checks.
You never saw?
I never saw the checks.
Okay, all right. Because I don't know. There's a couple things. When you guys, and you need to understand, when you guys when I looked at the subpoena, I started asking all these questions about the subpoena, and then I seen it online, I made a copy and I read it, open records request, and I agree with you. Why did you go to jail? I want to look at it just as strong. Now, your client says in an email, my understanding, I don't want to say assume, because it wouldn't be right, because I don't have the email in front of me, but that appear, or something like that, appear to have been cashed.
That statement came from, and I haven't seen where he said it on any document.
I understand it's in the email he sent, I guess, for open records or something, I don't know. and he said appeared to have been cashed.
Stop for a second.
Huh?
You're blowing my phone.
No, I can't.
Okay, that was information that had come from a banking officer, and I don't know who it was, but a banking officer had told Mark that the check appeared to be irregular because it had been cashed, and that was unusual. You know, they weren't supposed to cash the checks.
So a banking officer said
this looks like
irregular, may have been cashed.
Exactly.
Now, have you seen the 3 letters from the 3 CFOs of all 3 counties that have reviewed the checks and say they have appeared to have been properly endorsed and deposited?
I have not, but I know of them, but I haven't seen them.
Okay. Because now, DA dropped the case, but the DA has gone on quote, I guess, on record, I won't say quote, but said she was still prepared, she would have been prepared to take this to trial. When this is signed off, all the witnesses, you have no concerns on what the witnesses said, because you're an attorney and you've been going into court, you understand a grand jury, 16 people heard what evidence they presented, whatever it may be, I'll call it evidence, but they heard what evidence that was presented, and you know, we've only got a couple minutes, and
I'll turn this phone off, it's driving me crazy.
And I understand that. But 16 people heard whatever evidence they feel they have. They have witness recordings, okay, so on and so forth, and 16 people from the grand jury decided that they wanted to return a true bill, okay? The district attorney has recently said, you know, right when it was dropped, or asked to be dropped by Judge Weaver, that she was prepared to take it to court.
And I'm prepared to go.
That's what I want to ask you. Do you get to, I've never been in a situation like this, do you get to be accused or arrested and then have it drop, or do you have the right to say don't drop it?
Yes.
Do you have a right?
Yes.
So when they have the motion hearing and it's in public, and the DA says, "Hey, I want this dropped," do you have the right to go that day and say, "No, don't drop it.
Yeah,
Try me"?
Yes, sir.
You do
Yes,
have
sir.
that.
Let me.
Okay,
My
'cause I want
lawyers
an
and
understanding of that.
my lawyers and I are working on that right now. I have Fletcher Griffin, who is better than Bobby Lee Cook on research and criminal law, and I have Mike Cummings over in Clayton, who's a great civil trial lawyer, and we were going back and forth about whether I should resist this. And they said, well, they're going to give you a NOLO. They're not going to give me a damn thing. I want a trial. I want to be acquitted by a jury of 12. And the reason for that is this. That's going to be on my record.
Yes, sir.
And when someone Googles me in a week or 5 years from now, it's going to be Russell Stookey, the lawyer who did fraud and went to jail for it. Screw that. I want a trial. I want Allison Sosby to try this damn case and prove these charges. She can't. She cannot. I don't think she could get a conviction on Hitler with this kind of crap she's pulling. This is a hatchet job done to get Mark Thomason and Russell Stookey. That's all it is.
I have to end with that. That's all it is. That's a good ending, but he's giving me the high sign.
Well, let me give
Go
you.
ahead.
This will encapsulate it, all right? Clark and Clark get paid. Mary Beth Priest gets paid and gets promoted to a Superior Court judge. Rhonda Stubblefield has never paid and never will pay a dime of this, and the case gets swept under the rug, and Russell Stookey and Mark go to jail. You see a problem there? We're the guys that told the truth and caught them, and we went to jail.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm your host, BKP. Good morning. And you cannot ask for a more charged, great morning interview. Thank you, Mr. Stookey. And thank you for opening up the questions and time. We got to go. Inspirational moments with our friend, Colonel Oscar Poole, and the Scott Farrell Show coming right up. I'm your host, BKP, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We're out of here.
Oh, goodness.